We continue to track a fast-moving wildfire situation across Canada. Firefighters across the country are currently battling more than 170 out-of-control fires. Officials are calling it a severe fire season, with almost 500 fires in total burning across Canada. 44,000 square kilometres have been burned so far. Now, by comparison, just over 10,000 square kilometres had burned by this time last year. Fire activity is expected to continue to grow across Western Canada this month. In British Columbia, the wildfire burning closest to the village of Lytton is not expected to grow. Evacuation orders are being rescinded in the area, but there's a growing concern of a fire north of the village and that it has grown significantly in the past few days. This is prompting, of course, memories of the devastating fires that hit the community in 2021. So for more on this, we've reached the mayor of Lytton, Denise O'Connor. She joins us now from the community of Lytton, British Columbia. Thank you for making time for us today.
Good morning.
You know, it is just around the 4-year anniversary of course, that devastating fire that took place in Lytton. I'm wondering, as we will get to the news of what's happening today, first I wanted you to just sort of describe for me what it feels like that it's been 4 hours and now there's another fire situation emerging.
Yeah, 4 years. Summertime is typically fire time in Lytton, or not in Lytton, in British Columbia, in the interior. So this isn't unexpected, but it's also very triggering for the people who went through that fire in 2021.
I can only imagine that it must be, given the fact that the damage, the community was decimated. I'm wondering for you personally, I understand that you were also one of the people who lost your homes in that fire, and it's taken you until now to rebuild.
Yeah, I moved into my new home about 6 weeks ago. I did lose it in the village in the fire. The village is very small, but there are still 2,500 people living around the area. So there are a lot of people here in Lytton, even though the core of the village was destroyed.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the current fire situation that is close to the community?
Yeah, so the village is on the east side of the Fraser River, and on Monday evening, which was the anniversary of the 2021 fire, a fire started right across the river on the west side. And from the village, we could see where it started, the smoke, and then eventually flames, and then eventually, it spread. But crews got on it very quickly that evening. And by the next morning, when I woke up and looked across, I couldn't even see smoke or flames. Saying that, as the day heats up, as the winds pick up, there was some more activity. But again, this morning I look out and it's pretty much out.
In terms of lessons learned from the fire situation 4 years ago, I'm wondering how that applies now. Of course, the scenario, as you've described it, is quite different from what it was back then. But what are you seeing happen now that perhaps didn't happen 4 years ago?
I think people are much more aware of the fire smart principle of clearing brush and debris away from their homes and their properties, those sorts of things. And that's something we always knew, but I don't think people applied that before, but we're definitely seeing a big uptake in that in the area. And as well with the new buildings that are being built, they're all built with either hardyboard siding or metal roofs, or asphalt shingles, which are fire resilient. So the building construction is also changed from what it was before.
We're watching so many communities across the country be impacted by wildfires, by the heat as well. So I'm wondering for you, because you've got the experience of this, it took 4 years for you to be able to move into a new home following that fire that took out so much of the community. I'm wondering what the timeline typically can look like for so many of these other communities too that are dealing with a situation like that.
Yeah, we were the first, and our situation was unprecedented. I don't think any other community, although their fires were bigger, they lost more buildings. I don't think they lost all of the services that we lost, all of the infrastructure of a community. Why it took so long, I don't have those answers. I haven't heard of it taking this long in any other community. But, it was only, I've been on mayor since November of 2022. And at that time, cleanup had not really begun in the village. So I don't know. Again, I don't know why it took so long. And we're not seeing it in other communities. So maybe that's a lesson learned. I don't know.
And are things back to normal now, or how much longer will it take for everything to feel like it was before?
Well, it's back to normal because we have the people. Most of the people are here in the area, not necessarily in the village. We only have a handful of homes rebuilt. But and the other piece is we don't have the services back. We have temporary services in some cases, a primary health clinic, post office, RCMP station, a tiny grocery store, but we don't have the services that we had before. So normal, we're not back yet.
I want to thank you so much for sharing your experience and your time with us today, Denise.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
That was Denise O'Connor. She is the mayor of Lytton.